Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And Rutherford Issues is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric, reminding you to nudge that thermostat down just enough to stay comfortable. A simple way to save on heating cost and reduce the strain on your system. More plans, more energy-saving tips, winter tips at mte.com/myenergyplan. All about saving money is Tammy Sharp, member of the Rutherford County School Board. You all will move around a penny to make an extra nickel.
That's right. That's right.
How are you?
Because we got to build more schools.
Yeah, I've heard that, Speaking of that, you were sharing with me, I had to make sure that I complimented your pullover there from Thurman Francis Arts Academy. It is, sharp, school colors, everything. And you actually brought that and some other things in.
Yes, I have a piece of pottery from Smyrna High School's Miss Wather's class. I could have brought a whole bunch more because this is School Board Appreciation Week, and all of our schools are very generous to us. And this is one of the sweatshirts that we got, and we got umbrellas, T-shirts, coffee cups, the fake Stanley cups, which are better because they're not so heavy.
Yeah, really.
And you can't really injure someone with them. We got a ton of stuff. I was going through that this morning before coming in, and every year they're very, very generous, and they get more creative every year with what they send us. So we're very appreciative for that. I mean, it literally takes us 2 days to take the stuff home.
That's wild.
Because they start seeing, you have 52, 53 schools.
Yeah.
And so even Smyrna West sent a lunch pail with candies and snacks and everything in it, which is going to be handy for this weekend, so because everybody's going to get snowed in. But last year, Laverne had a nice chest on wheels, soft-sided, with a logo and everything. So we get a lot of branded stuff, which is great because then we get to wear it out when we make appearances.
Well, sure. And I don't know, but you've actually got your name on this one.
Yes, and we had another shirt from Holloway that they gave us, and it had our name on the back of it. It had the Holloway logo on the front, and then gold in the back had our last name. So they like I said, they're very, very good to us. Well,
we do appreciate all of our school board members and the work that goes on, and it is. It's one way to say thank you in a thankless job, really. I mean, the work that you and all the school board members do. I mean, you're running like a Fortune 500 company, really.
It is. And, all the pieces are moving all the time.
Yeah.
They're moving all the time. We had, Stan Vault had Edsel Charles in Tuesday night, and he analyzes pretty much the real estate marketing area and everything. And he really, we had Rob from RSP who came in, who's been here for 2 or 3 years, who's been in our schools, who's counted the spaces and everything, and came back and said, this is what we're going to need. I feel like the numbers that Mr. Charles came in with on Tuesday night lined up with that. It was even actually more.
Oh, really?
It was actually more. And when I was listening to the radio spot here, before we came on, and they were talking about us being up to 400,000 residents before the end of the year. Well, that includes kids, because everybody that comes here usually has, we've always calculated 1.3. I think it's probably more than that now, but we have that entire area and I've been talking about it for 3 years, that entire area from Sam Ridley to Waldron Road on the west side going toward Williamson County. That over 10,000 permits have been pulled. Of course, a lot of those houses have been built out. They're not, but they're not full. I mean, there's nowhere near the 10,000. And
that's also the area, I know the Smyrna mayor and the delegation talked with Governor Lee about putting that Rocky Fork interchange in there. And
yes,
so,
and yes,
do you think it's going to grow then?
Yeah, we've just kind of been made aware of kind of the whole process with that.
Yeah.
So, but as Davidson County grows and the tax, property taxes increase there, they come up right over. And, the developers are making it easy for the families to come in and get into housing very reasonable. And we do have a low tax rate here, and I'm not saying we need to raise it. We do need to find some way to slow the growth or slow so the schools can catch up, because we have people saying, well, you shouldn't build a school if you don't have the infrastructure. Well, we can't catch up with the infrastructure. I mean, arguably Stewart's Creek, my son was there, they've got a 90-degree turn there, and they're constantly changing it, and they put stop signs on both sides. But there's no way to go through there and do anything with the road because how the housing is so close to it. So that's been there, 20 years now? Because my son graduated in 2019, and
Wow.
he was there in elementary and middle school. So, we people are moving here so quickly. There's no way that we can catch up with the infrastructure and then build, because we have to make sure that we're not overcrowded.
Right.
Because that leads to learning loss. And it's hard for the students. It's hard for the admin. It's hard to keep all those kids safe. The county commission love them. They want us to build bigger. And I know there's a lot of county commissioners that went to larger high schools when they were in high school. That's 20, 30 years ago. Things have changed. Safety's changed. The students have changed. And there's a whole lot more to look at. Because if you look at some of our larger high schools with the higher student population, you got to think about that's just the students. You have 100 to 150 more probably admin on top of that. And, surrounding services that help, our custodians that help, and then coaches and everything that go with that.
In the lunchroom.
In the lunchroom and everything. So, it's just not that. And in the event of something happening, it's very hard. It's really tiring for our administrators to have so many, because you have to break them up between your administrator, your vice. That's why we have so many vice principals. It's just hard to manage that many people. And if you've not been there during class change, you will see. I was at Blackman earlier last week, and you're like a salmon swimming upstream, because the kids, they're going to their next class and everything, and it's a lot of kids. It's a lot of kids.
Let me interject this, because I guess it was at the end of December, I think it was New Year's Eve. Mayor Joe Carr was on the air, and he said for 2026, one of the things that the county was going to have to consider was a $400 million jail.
Right.
And then the school board had, or I guess it had at least gotten to the level of the county mayor and the county commission that there was probably going to be the need for a couple of high schools, maybe not the huge high schools, but maybe smaller, and that to do all of that, it would take a tax increase, and there would not be a tax increase, or he wasn't supporting one, and the jail was a need that was more important at this point. And I'm paraphrasing a lot there.
Right.
But it seems like some lines are being drawn in the sand, and it's January. So we've got a long way to go in this, but you're obviously painting a picture of there is definitely a need for more classroom space.
Yes, there is a need. And listen, I understand Mayor Carr's role because he has to look at the entirety of it,
Sure.
the entirety of the county. And, most people don't understand when you talk to them about the schools, if they're retired or if they don't have any children in the school system, they don't understand that what we do, what the county does in all the departments, it sets the tax rate. So they do have skin in the game, regardless if they have children in the system or not. Mm-hmm. And with everything, because we don't directly pay our SROs, that comes through the county, but they work for us at our facilities. So even with our budget and then them and some of the other things that the county does for us, we're pretty much 80% of the budget.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
So then we're leaving, your first responders, your road board, and all the other departments that we have here in the county with just 20%. And, that's a lot. We have already started the budget process. Dr. Sullivan is working, and Brian Runyon is working diligently with them and trying to, there has to be some compromise somewhere. Obviously, I would prefer that we build schools over the jail because the schools are more important as far as the students go.
Sure.
For the county, it's a different thing. But there's going to have to be some give and take. and nobody wants a tax increase, and nobody's bucking for one that I know of. We're just going to have to.
In an election year, the likelihood of that happening probably not high.
No,
is it?
it's not. I mean, probably another year or two. We don't know what's going to happen with the appraisals and everything. That's another issue that plays into that role. So it's just going to have a lot of give and take with everyone.
Kicking the can down the road another year for a couple of high schools, that immediately puts overcrowding, especially in that northern area that you're mentioning, from Stewart's Creek to Smyrna to Laverne, and we just built 2 additions at Smyrna and and Laverne.
Laverne's not open yet, but yes, they did. And Smyrna is almost full again, because that area is becoming more densely populated, just because people are coming over from Davidson County, and it is easier to get in. Now, I have seen kind of a shift in the neighborhoods. Driving through the neighborhoods, I'm seeing a lot more of the middle housing, not lower end housing, but middle housing, come up for rent. So I'm seeing more rental signs. So I'm hoping that that's going to help some, because there's more supply on the market, and that will lower the prices for housing and for renting. And that's one of the big problems with the Lake Forest Zone 2 area back there. That whole area, it's one of the largest neighborhoods in the United States.
I know, it's crazy.
It's over 10,000 houses. So that's one of the reasons it's kind of transient, but you can have a 900 square foot house and have a couple families living in there, and they're paying $2,400 rent. And that's why they
900 square foot.
Yeah, and it's 900 square foot. So I'm hoping with the signing off of the big corporations not being able to come in and take up the housing, because they can jack it up. It's a monopoly on it. So I'm hoping that that's going to help that area too, and it will settle that area, and it won't be much as transient, and we can lower the rental prices and things like that.
One of the things I remember hearing in that show was about birth rates, and that birth rates were going down. And so we're not seeing as many kids, not as many kids to have to educate. But I don't know. Is that any information that you've seen come through?
Well, we've seen a dip in it, but we're coming up on the COVID babies. They're coming into the school system. Yeah. So where we've seen a dip in the public schools, Rutherford County traditional public schools, some of those are going to our charter schools. They're having larger classes in the charter schools. I know Springs has 2 kindergarten classes, and ACAR, which is in Laverne, Springs is in Smyrna, they have one, and they really have tried to put off having another one. But if parents are going to change from the public school system to another option, they're going to do it in kindergarten or high school or something like that. So it'd be the natural break to move them. And so we, thankfully, because had we not had those charter schools, we would be, Stewart's Creek Elementary has just been, we're about to have to cut off enrollment there, because people continue to come in, and that's the first place that everybody comes in. And Stewart's Creek, in that Smyrna area, has a large following and a huge rep for being a great school, and it is. My son was there. It's a double-edged sword. We have great schools, but it's what's bringing people here, and that's what's making it overcrowded.
So the charter schools were only like a small, I don't even want to call it safety valve, but it at least relieved a little bit of pressure immediately. But that's not a long-term thing, is what you're saying, right?
It's not. I'm hoping that with all the growth that's coming in on that Waldron Road side, that it will fill up like ACAR, and it will move some over to Springs. But it is not a long-term thing. We really do need another high school between Smyrna and Laverne and Stewart's Creek up on the north end. But we've not been able to find property. And I've looked for it. Ms. Darby's looked for it. We've had professionals looking for it. Somebody called me yesterday and told me about another piece of property on the sort of Zone 2 side, so I'm going to have to go and look at it and get an address and see who owns it and see if
don't tell anybody, because they'll go buy it.
I know, that's why I'm not saying where it is. So, and then then there's that. But I do see that the economy's picking up, so I feel like they're going to start coming back and enrolling, and our numbers will come back to where they were. This was the first year since I've been on the board that we have not had from May to August 1,500 students enroll. They're still enrolling, but it hasn't been that, which is good because we need to be able to kind of catch our breath a little bit. But as always, we've always enrolled kids up to the last day of school.
True. Yeah.
So you have people who are either moving in from California or other states or coming in from Davidson County.
So Tammy Sharp is with us, Rutherford County School Board member. It's been mentioned here on this show, and I don't think this is a secret that the idea is to maybe build 2 mid-sized high schools at the same time. Is that kind of the desire?
We're still looking at that, and we're finalizing purchasing the Lee Road property. So we do have some more over in the Stewarts Creek area.
Okay.
And we looked at the piece of property that was on Blackman Road that was parallel with the interstate until, city officials said, hey, we're looking at that. So that's kind of, I don't know if it's a done deal or not. It wasn't on the agenda for discussion. Yeah. So it's a beautiful piece of land. But we are running out of buildable land. There's a lot of land out there, but because of the rocks and all the stuff, and we're connected to the water table at Percy Priest,
Well, and if you're in the county, you're not talking about a sewer system that's there either.
Right. So that's always an issue. So, I mean, we're still looking and wish people would bring more. I think Stan said that he had some more properties that someone had brought to him.
So you've got some area at Plainview.
Yes.
And there's land at Walter Hill, but those aren't areas, well, maybe Plainview, but Walter Hill area, that end of the county, just because you have the land to build a school there, that would cause a chaotic reshuffling of everything, wouldn't it?
It really would. And it's not, I feel like since they've redone Jefferson Pike and, because there's land there available too for housing,
right.
But nobody's building over there. But I feel like with maybe Smyrna Ready Mix there, and I know I just heard recently that they had talked about putting some retail and everything sort of over in their area. I think that will bring more people to that area. So we would love to, I mean, if it were...
There's not going to be a corner left untouched eventually.
No.
It's just not.
It's not.
So outside of, I know we spent a lot of time talking about building and that kind of thing in schools, and I'm sure you all deal with that a lot of the time. I mean, that has to take up a lot of time in conversation. Yeah. What are some other things that we should know about going on with the schools? So
I'm working on Jazz Fest again.
All right.
So back again. This is our 4th year, and I'm thankful for our rain out day at Oakland Middle last year. And we're going to have a rain out day, and we're going to have it at probably Oakland Middle if it rains out. Whether it rained Friday and Saturday was beautiful, but we can't move the equipment and everything, and so that's always been, and it costs a lot of money, and we have to raise all that money on our own. And thankful the school system has supplemented it a lot. So we're back May 1st and 2nd at the fountains. We're talking to some of the vendors that we had previously. This year, we're going to have our learning labs, our CTE learning labs that we have just brought out. And so hopefully with the middle school and the high school, the parents will come and look at the learning labs as well. They're going to be at the schools and certain dates, but they'll give them time to stay and kind of hang out and let them do that. That's going to take up a lot of space because I think there's 3 of them. But we'll have some of the same vendors that we had before. If there's anybody out there that's family-friendly vendor that wants to look at coming and setting up, they can contact me at sharpt@rcsschools.net, and we'll get a space for you. But we're very excited about being back at the fountains because we want it to be a community event. And we feel like the community, supports it. So everybody come out. If you want to help with it, come see me. We also have, Laverne High School, like you said before, the annex is opening. It probably will not be completely programs and everything that are in there until April of next year. The building will probably be finished before the end of school year this year, and they will start moving some classrooms in there. Don't hold me to a date because they don't know, but it's beautiful. It has the hall on the end, the lecture hall on the end, kind of like Rockville has, and Smyrna has. And I think marketing and maybe criminal justice is going in there. They were still finalizing some of the specialty departments that's going in there. But the culinary department that's going to be there is state of the art. We're talking Food Network. We're talking about cameras over the table when they're chopping. Listen, I toured some of our culinary classes at other schools. We have incredible equipment in there. I mean, I worked for Craft Food Ingredients when I lived in Memphis. So I've been in some really nice professional kitchens. We have stuff that's better than that for our kids. I mean, when I walked into that kitchen, I was like, oh, maybe I should get my teaching certificate and go. Because, once it's in your blood, but I can't schlep all that stuff around anymore. It is a young man's game, but it's going to be fantastic for Laverne. One of the other things that's going on in Laverne, we won a sponsorship from Harley Davidson, Northern Tools, Milwaukee, and DeWalt. It was probably $100,000 scholarship, and they Harley Davidson or Bumpus. Harley Davidson gave us a Harley Davidson motorcycle, a street bike. And the welding students are stripping it down, re-welding it to a flat track dirt bike. So June 6th of this year, they will be using that bike to race at one of the motorsports parks around here. I'm going to have to get more into the dirt bike, flat track again. But it's a huge sponsorship. Billy Lane has been over helping them weld. Kyle Petty's been here. A lot of people in the industry with welding experience and everything have been spending time there since September. The first announcement was in September, and then December they called us back in, and all this time they've been recording, people in the classroom, mentoring our students. And by August of this year, they're going to have a reality show. So they're filming now and putting it all in the can, and they'll do post-production and everything. And so then we'll have a reality show starting in August on Racer Network.
Very cool.
We have some great students that are in there, second-year students.
That is some really exciting stuff. And that's being duplicated at all of our schools here around the county. Very good.
We're looking for another welding teacher if somebody's out there.
I bet. Tammy, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Tammy Sharp, Rutherford County School Board member, our guest here on Rutherford Issues today. If you missed part of our conversation, be sure to head back to the podcast. We'll have it up shortly at WGNSradio.com. Stay safe out there this weekend. Watch all the ice and snow, and we'll keep you updated here on the Big G. Until next time. Take care out there.